Hello, everyone. So, I'll be honest. Couple things. First of all, it's 12:30 in the morning as I start this thing right here, because of course it is. Second thing that I would like for everybody to know is that I have tried to write a actual script for this, but I scrapped it because I just want to talk off the cuff today for no particular reason. I'm tired and annoyed is I guess ultimately where we're at right now, just to let it all, let us all understand where we're starting from. Um okay. So, the focus of this, if you've clicked on this, I can only presume it is because you are a person who um has some vague interest in me as a human being for some reason. I don't know why you do, but I appreciate it. Um, Perhaps you value my opinion on superhero things as a Black person who appreciates superhero media, um, particularly as uh, a person who is a trans woman. I should also clarify I am a trans woman. I'm currently presenting to you right now in a way that I would say is probably more on the masculine side of things. Why? Because I am exhausted right now and don't feel like performing gender. Sorry about it, but here we are. Performing gender of any type at all, just baseline period, just to be clear. So at this current moment, you can view me as sort of genderless more than anything else. Thank you. Now I'm going to be talking about the 2004 Catwoman movie because, bitch, of course I am. Of course I am. What the fuck else would I do at 12:30 in the morning when I am so tired? Ugh. Um, but literally, I knew that if I didn't record this, I wouldn't be able to go to sleep. So I'm just gonna do it. I apologize for also there being just a distinct lack of editing with any of this, because again, I just want this to fly off the cuff. So, um, let's start here. Catwoman has been one of my favorite movies since 2004. Yes, I did say those words on camera in front of all of you. There are several reasons for why it is one of my favorite, just favorite movies of all time, because, like, well, we'll get into it. We'll get into it in a second. Um, but I want to start off with I am aware that it's not a great and well-made movie. I never said that it was. I'm simply saying right now that it has been one of my favorites this whole time. I am a huge fan of Black people playing superheroes just generally. Um, and of superheroes of all types, but particularly, I find women who kick ass to be my favorite, because there's a specific kind of femininity that is captured there, particularly in the superhero women um, of the early 2000s. There's like a very specific um, type of femininity that they all had and displayed. It has been criticized by a lot of people, um, by a lot of people to be just um called and considered deadly sex toy, which I'm gonna be honest, I find extremely demeaning to the people who, one, played these characters, and two, to the characters that they were portraying. Most of these superhero characters, I say most because some of them were just sort of invented whole cloth, which I find fascinating, um, and were portrayed like sort of whole cloth, like just for the first time in some of the movies from the early 2000s. Most of them are not like are not regarded as like really great movies, but I've gone back to them time and time again and rewatched them because I because of the experience that I have had sort of embracing who I am as a person and sort of going through that entire process. Um I'm going to try not to get too heavy in this, but heavy topics will be coming throughout this whole thing. Um And I suppose we'll just sort of generally start it now, which is I uh as a person, just over the years have not like I'm not attracted to these heroes. Like I'm not attracted sexually to these heroes. That's not what this has ever been for me. It has been purely for me a I this is the kind of thing I wish I could embody. This is the kind of energy and spirit that I want to embody when I walk through the world, when I walk into a room. I want to know that, I want when I walk into a room to know that, right, I am the most competent fighter of anybody in this room, so much so that, yes, I am in fact wearing these heels right now as a choice, knowing good and goddamn well I might have to fight some bitches in a minute. And I might have to Okoye kick my shoes off just right at a person and use it as a weapon. Well and truly, when Okoye took off her wig in that one scene in Black Panther, I know there are like a lot of people in this world who, when that happened, were like, she is my favorite person and I would die for her. And I am one of those people. Anyway, um, so I want to, when I walk into a room, be one of those people who is the most competent, the most trained, and the most skilled. Um, to the point where, like, yes, I might be wearing something that is sort of extraneous and isn't going to help me in any way. Yes, I've watched all of Jill Barrett's videos as to why like heels and wedges specifically are like bad for fighting. And I understand that. I do. I think there is also a level of like I okay. The part of that in particular, and I don't mean to I'm not coming for Jill Barrett. That's not what I'm doing. Because I think Jill Barrett is completely correct if we are operating from the point of view that this is the one point of reality that needs to be included here. There are like we're already taking a whole lot of leaps. For example, we are with this movie taking into consideration that cats can bring people back from the dead. At this point, I'm going to forgive if these women are walking around in heels on a rooftop. Like I You see what I'm saying? Also, like when someone is superhuman, like again, past the point of being a regular human being. So yes, is it shitty for the arches of a regular human being? Abso-goddamn-lutely. Is it going to be not effective for weight distribution for pretty much anybody, providing they have the same body mass as a regular human being? Absolutely. Arguably, if you've been brought back from the dead by a cat and you have now cat like abilities, I don't know that that applies anymore. If you are a god carved from clay, I don't know necessarily if that applies to you anymore. Also, if you are the goddess of war, if you're the goddess of war, I feel like you can fight in whatever you want. Like, honestly, they could have had her in like a nightgown and it would have been fine. I mean, it wouldn't have been fine for us because we like the theatricality and the look, right? Like we want the look of it. We don't like if people are running around in literally like fucking what are those things called? Um if people are running around in just like party city ass superhero costumes, we would be upset and offended because like well, one, because these movies cost way too goddamn much for them to be giving us Party City, right? Like that we've earned more than and then that if we've paid money to go see this movie to the tune of millions of dollars possibly, right? Like at that point I feel like we've maybe at that point we've earned more than that. Um, some might say we have in fact paid for enough fabric that more of these women could be covered up should they so choose, and should that make sense culturally for them and whatever. Now, I have, however, due to just the understanding of society and understanding how time has gone on, and like um, doing my own sort of learning and thinking surrounding feminism and that particular type of journey. Um, there's a lot of there's been a lot of talk throughout like the entirety of my life from the time that I was young and stated publicly that I enjoyed these movies, that like, oh, this is all, like, they are basically just running around as sex objects throughout this whole thing. Throughout all of these movies, they are just wandering sex objects. This is purely done with the male gaze in mind. So it is done in such a way as to titillate men, which at the time thinking that I was male had me sitting there confused, like I am a dude and that's not like, this doesn't sexually titillate me. It's fucking awesome. Like it's a like I I have a deep respect for women of literally any and all kind. I just do. I always have, partially because I was raised by my mother primarily and almost exclusively, and because of that, like I value I find the value in what women have had to go through, just generally in life, and what they continue to do, just sort of baseline, and that's before sexism and everything else that becomes the problem. That is like, yeah. So I have a deep amount of respect for women because of that, to the point for me where I'm not going to critique what they're wearing. I will simply only say, I hope you are comfortable wearing it. Like, and that's like well and truly, especially, okay, as a trans woman, knowing that somebody is comfortable wearing what they are wearing is a huge fucking deal to me. Like a giant fucking deal to me. I care almost more about that than I do pretty much anything else ever. As long as what you are wearing feels comfortable to you and makes you feel the best that you've ever felt, perfect. It doesn't matter what I then think at that point. As long as it makes sense to you and it feels good to you, perfect. That's perfect. I I don't think like, and I also, to that end, will say I think we've gotten a lot better. And by we, I also I uh because I do cosplay and I make outfits and costumes and things, which I haven't really showcased anywhere. Well, I've showcased like some of the costumes I've made in various places. And I have made, like, I haven't made any superhero like specific replicas, with the noted exception of every outfit from the Birds of Prey movie, because that movie was incredible, and we will get the fuck back to that. I swear to, we gonna touch on this queen right here. I love her. I did every one of Black Canary's outfits, and you can find all those on my Instagram, which is at Red Black Golden. Since I am obviously posting this to YouTube, and some of y'all might not have seen my Instagram, it's at Red Black Golden. Black spelled kind of fancy, whatever. You get the general gist, and I'm sure it's somewhere. Anyway, like, and I'm not even gonna count those, but like I'm not gonna count those as like, you know, superhero costumes that I made that like were, well, actually, we will use this time to talk about Birds of Prey as a movie, because Birds of Prey did something that I thought was incredible. They talked to, okay, first of all, the individual designer, or, well, not design, the costume designer had an idea and had like had like a general theme and idea that like would work for these characters individually as people. For example, with Journey Smollett's character, the Black Canary, she's in a sort of, as I just like pull up my damn shirt, she is in this part in a jumpsuit, a blue shiny jumpsuit. Um, and yeah, that's she only wears that in literally one scene at the very, very end of the movie. But that suit is inspired by her main look from the comics, but it also is done in such a way that like, yeah, it covers like a lot. It covers like everything, but it also is very clear that it's like this is a look that serves a purpose. It's a look for a reason, and like, and it came from something. Like there's a very easy or rather, one of the things I like in superhero like movies and TV is when like you can kind of clock that that dude is Superman because he's wearing like a shirt that like has like he's wearing a blue shirt that has like red lettering um on the center of it, that but it's not like directly the S, it's something else. But you can kind of clock that that's supposed to be Superman. That is how I would go into like designing this type of thing. I basically sillily enough, I have done costuming for like theatrical productions and whatnot. And I try to include something that's anytime I do that, I try to include something that's an Easter egg in the outfit. So if I were putting together um just the daily wardrobe for I'm trying to think of well, it's difficult to like say, but if I were trying to come up with like just daily wardrobe things for like I'm like looking around my room because I have like various superhero things just sort of around. You know what? We'll use Poison Ivy as an example because actually as of like right now, a couple ooh, shit. I should probably say spoilers. Spoilers right now. Skip ahead about a minute. About a minute. If you don't want Batwoman, like this current season, season 3 of Batwoman spoiled. Um, so starting now, 3, 2, 1. So Mary Hamilton in this last episode had them little poison ivy buns from Batman and Robin. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Speaking of other movies that are also low-key terrible, but I love them anyway. Batman and Robin, great movie. Things me and Sarah Marshall agree on. Whoop. So she had them little things up there. She had them little buns up there, and I thought that was perfect. Like she had been wearing them for like 2 episodes at that point. And I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't clock that." Ooh, ooh bitch. It's those things that you go back and you look at previous you're like, "Oh fuck, I didn't catch that, but that's actually a real good hint." Or anyone who's read the comic will go back and be like, "Oh damn, that's fun. I like that. Nice, well done." Or you have a character who like I don't know, say you're putting on like Romeo and Juliet, so you have a particular character wearing like a white rose on their lapel or something that you might not notice from afar. um oh, and also in this scenario you've set it in modern day for some reason, so like there's a pin or something somewhere that's like a white rose or a red rose or something like that. um, and that you get to play with color theory and symbology in that rose and like what that rose means, working obviously with a director. And then you get to like sit down there and you're like, great, cool, I've like this, here's this one symbol. If people get real close to this, they might see it, and it'll be that extra bit of like, ooh shit, like they put thought into this, but also like, oh fuck, that's like really deep and like super symbolic. I get really hung up on like symbols a lot in everything, just generally, but I find little nods like that to be the thing that makes an outfit. Um and I And when changes are made to an outfit, that it's done purposefully, I think is the most important thing. So, how does this impact Catwoman? Right. Okay. So, Patience's costume. Well, actually, let's step back a couple seconds. Because we also need to talk about the actual movie of Catwoman itself. I'm not going to go through an overthrough because I would just suggest you see the movie. I'm aware that it's not great, but I need you also to go into the movie knowing it's not going to be like a story about the actual DC Catwoman. It's not. It's not set in Gotham, and like there are like a million reasons why it's not the same Catwoman that you might have been expecting to see. It's not even an origin story that is directly that's debatable, but it's not an origin story that you might necessarily fully recognize for Catwoman, except it actually a little bit is, and we will get to it. But like it's this is a story that is fully based on. Actually, you know what? Scrap that. Here's what we're going to say about this movie. This movie is fan fiction. This movie is a fan fiction movie, is literally all that I can call this. It is a fan fiction movie that had way too many people who wrote on it, and the writing, and therefore the writing on it is bad because you will never be able to have a good consensus on a film when you have 20 writers working on that film. That's obviously an exaggeration. It was more like 6, if I recall correctly, looking at the thing. Though Halle Berry in her speech at the Razzies said that there were more writers than that, but basically there were like 6 people who were working on writing one story. You see where I'm going with that? When you try to have 6 people be on the same goddamn page and they aren't, and people leave a project and all these other things mid project because they're like, I mean, shit, this script isn't what it needs to be. This story isn't what it needs to be. We're not really being given a whole lot here. We're also working with a director who actually wherein there might be a wee bit of a language barrier, and in terms of understanding his style of direction and a bunch of other things, making a directorial debut for an American audience, and the main film that he's worked on prior to that has been a French film. Girl, okay. But also, that director had said, I remember going to see Batman Returns in theaters and seeing that version of Catwoman come to life. And it's really cool to get a chance to bring my version of Catwoman to life. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to direct a movie. I'm not going to direct a comic book. It's not simply a comic book being put on the screen. It is a movie being put on the screen. Um, Couple notes on that. Um, that makes okay. I have simultaneously criticized the ever loving fuck out of movies where the writer and director are the same person. Shut it down. I hate that. I hate it a lot. And I say this as a person who wrote an entire ass audio drama and directed two of them, actually, entire audio dramas. Wrote and directed both of them. One of them was on Birds of Prey, and that one was a fan fiction. And you can go listen to that still if you would like to. It's Birds of Prey Outcry, and I am proud of it. Anyway, but like if you are going like it's one of those things that if I didn't have to do it because I didn't have like other projects that um people were like if I had somebody else who could have written this, I don't know that I would have taken it because I actually enjoyed the writing process. That was really fun for me. Um, if I could have had someone different direct it, I would have loved that. That would have been great. I'm fine with a writer being one of the actors in it, and occasionally fine with a director also being an actor in it. But like I would have loved if someone else could have taken over for part of it. Um, like during that project, because it becomes too stressful, and because you then get real happy about an idea that you had that might not work. But you won't hear that it doesn't work unless your actors tell you, and your actors are relying on you for a paycheck. And they may or may not tell you that the thing doesn't work because they might be, for some weird reason, afraid of you. Even if there's no reason necessarily, and you haven't given them a reason to be afraid of you at all, and you've been nothing but open, sometimes that power dynamic is just simply a thing that is there, and is a thing that you, if you are directing a thing, you have to be aware of. I say this from experience, from the experience of having not known how to do that and having to learn all of this the hard way, particularly on Birds of Prey Outcry, just during some of the things that happened after the fact, after the show was done. But like, it's just like there's a lot that you will learn by going through that whole process. And I think also having this be his first like American movie probably contributed to this not being the best movie in the world. Like, it had a way too many writers. It had um people who signed onto the project before reading the script and knowing what it was. If there is one critique I can give Halle Berry, it is joining the film, which it seems like again was her manager saying to do that more than anybody else. Joining the film before you have read the full script and have a good idea as to what the film is going to be. Honey, that doesn't work. There are a lot of reasons why that doesn't work, but that in particular for this type of movie simply will not work. You've got to know that the script is something interesting and something that you would actually want to be in before you do it. And that didn't seem like that was the process here, particularly when it came to, looking for a person to bring this particular version of Catwoman to life, which at that point they knew wasn't going to be the Catwoman from the comics. And there are several reasons why you wouldn't bring the Catwoman from the comics to the big screen. Like, there are reasons why you wouldn't necessarily want to do that. And here are some of them. Reason number 1. Characters that have already been played on screen for the better part of, at that point, 40 years on screen or something like that. Like, a little under 40, I think. Um, that's a lot of baggage, sis. Like, that character has a lot of baggage, and even story-wise, if that character hasn't been like fully on screen for a whole lot, um, like there's I love Selena Kyle. I do. I fuck with Selena Kyle. I really do. I fuck with her heavy. I absolutely do. The thing though about her story is that almost always her story is tied to Batman or the Bat family. For a reason, yes, I know, whatever, history, I get it. Here's the thing about having a female hero who is the center of a movie when that female hero has been inextricably tied to a male hero for so long. And in the early 2000s, you're telling these people to come up with a new thing? Separate from the actual Batman going on of it, because if I recall correctly, 2004, it was either 2004, 2005, or 2006. It was one of those 3 years. Batman Begins was coming out, um which would have necessitated the knowledge across the same company that, oh yeah, there's a Catwoman movie coming out, and we have another Batman movie coming out. We're not going to work together with these two. We're just not. Um, and we're just going to have these be here. This movie is capitalizing specifically on the Selena Kyle from a previous year, but we can't use her because we don't have the same actress, and it would be weird continuity wise, so we're just going to make it a different person. Um, and I think that was a good idea. I actually don't think it was a bad idea to go with a character who is based on another like who's based on this same, you know, actually, okay, couple things. Thing number 1, brought back to life by a cat. That is a thing that happens in both Batman Returns, a movie that critically, to a lot of people, like including myself, that that is a beloved film and a beloved portrayal of Catwoman. We all fuck heavy with that version of Catwoman. We absolutely do. Her origin story in that is the same, the literal same as Patience Phillips. It is the same origin story. Her continuity is not the continuity from comics, it is the continuity from that movie. Just taken, oh, this happened to this one woman in the 90s. This is now happening with this woman now in the 2000s. That's what's happening here. That's where we get the legacy of Catwoman in history. That's why that appears. Also, Catwomen throughout history, um I know I know that a lot of y'all I know that a lot of people out there are going to say that that sounds like a dumb thing. That sounds stupid. Except that already exists in the DC universe. That's just a different hero. Like that fully is a different hero. Um one could argue that oh dear. One could argue that that's low-key Vixen a little bit. Not exactly, but there's an element of Vixen that is in there. And like it's not that unrealistic for that, like it basically all oh actually oh shit. You know who it kind of is actually? Shazam. Fucking Shazam. Um This is functionally just Shazam a bunch, but Shazam was obviously not at that moment, like I mean, Shazam was popping, we all sort of knew a little bit who Shazam was, but, like, that movie wasn't on the list of movies that we expected would be made, right? Like, we weren't thinking that, we were thinking about the main core heroes, which is a whole other issue that it would take me hours to get through and understand and, like, be able to tell everybody how I feel about that, but, um like we are this character and her fucking everything um is oh god. Okay. It's not that stupid. It is not that stupid as an idea. As a writing as a like trope in writing, I also would like to clarify a couple things about writing. One, tropes in writing are not a bad thing. Like there are some tropes are bad, absolutely, because they are harmful to people. That is true. However, tropes overall are just patterns. They're just patterns from book to book. It's something that appears in one story that will appear potentially in another story. Because guess what, y'all? Stories repeat. Stories happen to multiple people across different planes of existence, across different times, across different eras, and you get the same type of thing happening over and over and over again. We all know this. We just happen to occasionally complain about tropes when it comes to certain types of movies, and it becomes a problem and a thing we can hurl at a film that we decide we don't like because elements of it weren't good, or because a whole entire studio didn't believe in the movie. I feel like we should also talk about that a little bit. And that ties that back into good old Birds of Prey a little bit, doesn't it? So, the DC universe as a whole, as a person who has followed pretty much all of it since the 90s, I've pretty much watched every single DC movie that has come out, with, I believe, one or two exceptions because I just never heard that they existed. Um if you want to see a studio that doesn't actually at all ever care about making sure care about actually doing certain things for positive change, you can actually look pretty closely at the DC universe. And you can also look pretty closely at all the recent scandals they've had surrounding really shit directors doing very shitty things to the people in their employ. Here's looking at you, Joss Whedon. So, like, this is a movie studio that on numerous occasions will say, "Ah yes, we're going to team up and work with this writer who has made and directed brilliant films before. And we are going to completely leave them to their own devices. We will not make any notes on this. And if we do not believe in this film, we are not in any way, shape, or form ever going to talk about it. If we are concerned that the dude bros of the world, that the like I almost said a thing I actually didn't want to say. I almost called them neckbeards, and that would have been very rude and also transphobic, as it turns out. Fun fact about that as a phrase. So I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say aggressively misogynistic male nerds of a fandom. We are going to say something that's going to make them angry. We're going to start the process of making them extremely angry so that they will hopefully buy this and then keep talking about us, because that negative talk cycle allows them to say, "Oh good, so now people can stop yelling at us for the next 25 years about making a movie starring a woman, starring a black woman at that." Like, it shouldn't. I want y'all to think about this as a thing right now. Just ponder this right now. Catwoman is one of the only superhero films starring a black woman throughout the whole movie. She is a black woman, a living, breathing, occasionally zombie black woman on screen being a superhero. And in this case, an actual superhero because she has superpowers. Hero versus superhero being powered and also, you know, capable of feats that a human is not capable of. Whatever, fine. Um, we, where a black woman is at the center, is the superhero in question. Not one of many, the superhero in question. We only have the one. That's it. We've got that one movie. And it has been 18 years. I want y'all to sit with that and think about that. They made this one movie which failed. Which objectively failed because it didn't make back the exact amount of money that, they spent on the movie. Which is also wild because they could have, but that would have required putting actually a little more money into it and a couple other steps earlier on, like hiring somebody who is actually capable of doing this. Like, for example, hiring a black woman to do a story about a black woman. Who the fuck knows? Maybe that would help. I don't fucking know. But honestly, that oftentimes that's the kind of thing that you would need to do. You hire a person of color to write a story about a person of color. That just sort of makes sense. You hire a queer person to help you write or actually outright write the story about a queer person. That is just simply what you do. Like, that's just how that goes. Um, and the reason you do that is so you can avoid making really shitty mistakes that make the people of color who love various characters for various reasons not hate your company for making this thing. You What they could have done here is make a really kick-ass movie with a similar premise, but better writing and with a director. I'll also be honest, he was a visual director. There's actually I saw this in another YouTube video. I may or may not tag it. I do not remember the name of the channel. I'm so sorry. But what I can say is this was about M. Night Shyamalan. This was basically a timeline tracking M. Night Shyamalan from from his earliest films and earliest beginnings to um his most recent films. I believe this had been made. Sorry, some noise in my house. Weird. Um, I believe this had been made before, um, before Old came out, but overall, it sort of talked about his rise to publicity and big fame, and then basically becoming an indie filmmaker again. Um, and in that, they mentioned something that I thought was really fascinating and really interesting, which is there are certain people who are very good at directing visuals in a movie and directing camera shots specifically. Like, we, there are certain directors who are very good at that. Absolutely. Like, hands down, amazing at that shit. And M. Night Shyamalan is one of those people. Visually, all his movies, pretty damn good. Like, there are some close-up shots that are a little bit weird, um, that don't make a lot of sense to me personally. I'm sure they are meaningful to him in a way, and I'm sure also there's a reason to focus tightly on someone's face during certain excuse me, sorry. During can you tell it's 1 o'clock in the fucking morning? 1:15 now? Woo. Um uh where, like, yeah, I'm sure there are some reasons that you might focus tightly in on somebody's face, sure, whatever. This is not about M. Night Shyamalan, but I do also see some of the same signs in this particular man's directing style. I think he's a visual director. I do not think he is a story person. I don't think he really gave that much of a shit about the story in and of itself. um I just don't think he did. And that blows. It blows to have a director who is so green at this whole process that, like, he's not making he's not, like, making a great thing and is unsure of how to do it, and no one is offering him any assistance in doing it. Um, it's just not, that part sucks. And it sucks that, like, people gave Halle Berry an award, like a negative award for actually doing what was as ostensibly like a really good job with very bad material. Like she said on stage, like, it took, like, you don't get to the stage of the Razzies and winning an award for Best Actress when when you had, like, what, the year, maybe a year or two before, won an award for Best Actress. Like, won an Oscar for Best Actress. We've seen time and time again that Halle Berry knows what the fuck she's doing. We know that she's a good actress. How the fuck y'all are going to blame this woman for this movie failing and this movie not being great? That don't make no damn sense. That don't make no damn sense. I'm also going to say one thing, and this is actually a little bit about M. Night Shyamalan, just a slight bit, but I promise I won't linger on it. Um, M. Night Shyamalan, like, Avatar as a movie, really not good. Objectively very not good. Why? Most of the child actors in that movie were terrible. Uh, Genuinely bad. Like, I I'm genuinely surprised at how bad they were. Like, it's shocking to me that they were that bad. Um, which is funny and surprising because, well, I mean, come on. Um, it's difficult when you are a young child to, I don't know, to like act really strongly. When you haven't had training and you are a martial artist first before you're actually a actor, whatever. That movie was really bad. For that exact reason. Also, there were like other creators behind that also not being good. Like there were like it wasn't just one person like making that whole thing fail. And then when you are a director of a thing and you are then asked about a particular project before it comes out, you're not going to say that it's shitty, like because you can't. And you're not going to say like the studio fucked me over with this one. So what you're going to get here is the best I could fucking do. I'm sorry. You can't say that before the movie comes out. You're not like allowed to. You're only allowed to say that after the public goes to see it and they're like, "Fuck, this wasn't that good." And they're like and then you can be like, y'all, I fucking tried. I'm sorry. I don't know what you wanted me to do, but I didn't have anything to work with. Like I didn't have a script that was good. I didn't have a story that made fucking sense. I didn't have like a lot of these other things that would have made the movie that y'all would have wanted. This is what I had. This is what we've got. And hey, guess what? This movie's fucking camp as hell and funny as fuck. So, enjoy. Like and that's how I've always felt about this movie is that it is fucking camp and enjoyable. It's a good time. Movies don't necessarily have to be always objectively game changing to be an entertaining and fun time. Um so okay, I might be mistaking the name of this movie I'm about to drop as like an example for this, and I am sorry. But again, it is now 11:17. I'm very tired, so I'm just going to say it, and if I'm incorrect, I apologize. Whatever. Um, Free Guy, that movie that came out kind of recently. One, I loved that movie. I thought it was really fun. But again, it's a fun movie. It is not a movie that had like a deep message, a deep, like overarching, huge message. It didn't. And this one didn't either, and it didn't claim to, other than, hey, maybe just like maybe we should stop taking like assuming women aren't useful. Like basically, there are lots of like films from this time period that are just like, hey, women can do things that are and like better than men a lot of the time. So like let's let them. Um and like it's a very 2000s trope in particular. And again, nothing wrong with that. It's just a trope. It's just a thing that occurs in movies. Sometimes they're bad, sometimes they're not. I understand the arguments for why, like, um, someone literally walking around in a leather bra and cut up shorts, um, or cut up like long pants. They weren't shorts, whatever. Um, and kitten heels. Honestly, okay. High key, having her be in kitten heels throughout the majority of the movie is hilarious. That is a joke. That is a fucking joke that I think is one of the funniest jokes I've ever seen in any movie. It is so fucking funny to have Catwoman in kitten heels. That is so funny. Anyway, so I just wanted to be clear as to why I thought that was hilarious. And just so people would catch that, because I know there are lots of straight cis white dudes who probably didn't understand what a kitten heel was and didn't quite catch on to that. That's what that was. That's why it looked like that. That's why it's funny. Um, but also like she like okay, when they described her costume, a thing that at that point fans had already been like, what the fuck is that? Because Selena Kyle is a jewel thief. More than anything else, she is a jewel thief. Um, well, this is Patience Phillips, so her costume's going to be different because why not? And also, not only is it going to be different, it's like she likes cats. She was revived. Like one of them, the reason for her costume being vaguely cat like is because she likes cats, and that's it. The other one is because oh, a cat brought her back to life, so she is now wearing what amounts to what amount like basically she is wearing something that is so revealing that it is that she has to at that point know, oh yeah, no one's gonna hit me. No one can touch me. I'm too fast for them. I basically have feline super speed now. Congratulations, it's fucking great. And good for her, honestly. Good for her. Good for her. Um, but well and truly, like genuinely, I think that that is actually really cool and good. She is a woman who is strong and capable and amazing. Um, and she does go through the same kind of transformation that I could see easily myself going through, not me dying and being resurrected by a cat. Which, actually, let's foray back over to the comics real quick. Selena Kyle's current comic book origins are as follows. She is raised in an abusive household. She it becomes an orphan for out of like insert all of the tragedy that leads to her becoming an orphan here. Um at a certain point she winds up institutionalized. While institutionalized, she sees something. Pay attention to this part right here. She sees something she's not supposed to, and then she gets put in a bag and thrown over a cliff to drown in the water. And then she is brought, like, we don't know how the fuck she saved herself from drowning. That is not made clear in any of the comics. However, it is shown that she comes back and she's just back there and she spills them beans and spills that tea on the crime happening in the prison. And then she leaves. She ditches. She bounces. You know what that sounds like to me? It sounds like you could actually, because there's a good chunk of time right there where some wild shit happened that we don't know about, where she easily could have died and been resurrected by a cat. I know that that sounds dumb, but so does being bitten by a radioactive spider. That also sounds stupid as shit. Like, absolutely sounds dumb as fuck. And yet, one of the most beloved superheroes on the face of the planet has been bitten by a radioactive spider, and that is the reason he has spider like abilities. It's a common superhero trope to have somebody gain the powers and abilities of the thing that either brings them back to life or somehow infects them. That is a specific kind of superhero, aka Spider-Man. Um, there are a few other heroes who are like that who I cannot think of right now, and I just simply do not have the time or brain space to think about them. But what I'm saying is, it's not that unreasonable. It was not that unreasonable of a story choice. I know that, and also, to be clear, it wasn't that much of a stretch when Tim Burton did it, because her origin at that point was kind of seedy and a little bit weird, and this was still supposed to be low-key a kids movie. Except I feel like that got thrown out like halfway through the movie, particularly that one scene where Michelle Pfeiffer is eating a bird. Just the way she was posing during that was felt very sexual to me. I don't know. Or felt like someone had directed it so that it was supposed to be sexual, if that makes sense. Not like I necessarily looked at it, I was like, that's sexual. I'm like, I didn't. That like went over my head. I was just like, that is a fucking outfit, girl. Yes, bitch. And speaking of outfit changes that don't fully make a whole lot of sense but involve a lot of black leather, um, she stitched that together in her house just because. And that costume was made to make her look unhinged, to make her look, dare I say it, a little bit crazy. Um, a little bit psychotic, if you will. Whereas this, the whole vibe that they wanted to go with was warrior, was like basically early 2000s warrior goddess, basically. Did it get there? Honey, no. No, it didn't. But is that look still fucking fantastic? Yes. Yes, it is. It still hits. It's still a good look. Um, cat gloves and everything, and the like, again, the kitten heel that I'm always going to laugh at every single time. Um, the straps that just, again, she doesn't really need the straps. She basically only needs a belt for her whip. That's sort of it. She doesn't really need a whole lot else. Um, because again, she is a super powered individual who potentially has 9 lives. We're actually unsure of that last bit. But she's fine. Um and also, I mean, low key at the time, the vibe was when you have a body like that to work with, put it like show it off. And you do that also, and you don't just do that for the women. I also would like to point out, you don't do that just for the women. The tiny gay boy in me notes that y'all didn't just do that for the women. Y'all really showed off just the right things for all of the gentlemen as well. And you know what? That's because as human beings, we tend to sexualize each other just often. Is it good? No. At this, I'm going to just say point blank, I don't think that that's a good thing. I really hope that that's a thing that we stop doing as a society, unless explicitly asked to do so. Now, I'm trying to think of what else I haven't touched on. Oh, yeah. The reason that I enjoy this movie, and the impact that it like actually had on me as a person. Um, most of you out there are never going to like actually see me walking to any particular location. Um, for a very long time in my life, I would get around faster and get to the places I needed to go by picturing and practicing the walk, nay, the strut that Halle Berry has as she's strutting across them rooftops after she's put the outfit on for the first time. And also at the end of the movie when she cracks that whip. So choice. Now, that is for me the walk that I have when I am walking in a sexy manner, or even not a sexy manner, but walking with purpose, walking with pride, walking with my head held the fuck high, walking feeling confidence, feeling like I know I'm a bad bitch and ain't nobody can touch me. That's the feeling I have when I start walking exactly in that manner and I'm walking towards a specific goal. We all have those little things that we've taken from like bits of media that we've seen, bits of media that we enjoy, bits of media that follow us throughout our lives. We all have those things that stay with us and stay with us for a reason, some kind of reason anyway. For me, that was the kind of femininity that was shown in Catwoman. A woman who knows herself, who knows what she looks like, who is happy with what she looks like because she herself is happy with her own appearance throughout the movie. I think that's sort of key and important. I know that might seem to some of y'all like, whatever, that doesn't fucking matter. No, it does. It absolutely does. Again, going back to like what I said at the very beginning of this whole thing, which is that as a trans woman, it is important to me that I am wearing stuff that I feel comfortable in, that makes me feel happy, that makes me feel good about myself. Um, because I've already spent way too much of my life not like that, not able to look like that, not able to dress myself in a way that made me feel okay and made me feel happy. I already did that for way too many years. So yeah, I'm going to watch a movie like this and I'm going to enjoy it. Not only am I going to enjoy it, I'm going to see that image. That image that exists, by the way, um in both Batman Returns and in Catwoman. I'm going to see that woman who, after being thrown away like so much garbage, looks up and says, fuck you, to the people who would do that to her. I'm going to see that woman there fighting for what she believes in, fighting to keep the people she loves safe, fighting so that like people can get better. And like, yeah, maybe just doing some shit for fun because she can. And because joy is an important thing to seek. That's why I enjoy watching this movie. That's why I enjoy watching any movie like this. It is because at the end of the day, it brings me joy. And if there's one thing over the last year and a half that I think we've all learned, it is that at a moment's notice, joy can be taken from us. So we might as well, for the time that we are here, we might as well enjoy what we've got, right? And here's to, hopefully, in the future, more Black women able to be superheroes on screen for all of us. Here's to more women on screen being powerful in whatever form that takes, because that takes so many forms. Here's to all of them bitches out there who are going to be the baddest, who are going to be baddies out there all day, every day. But more importantly, here's to each and every one of us out there who are simply being ourselves and doing so unapologetically. That's the tea, honey. That is the tea as to why this movie is one of the best movies. I don't give a shit that the story was bullshit. I don't care. I don't give a damn that Benjamin Bratt can't act worth a shit. God, that man was a bad actor in this movie. Whatever, fine. I used to love the fuck out of him too. Whatever. Fuck that. That doesn't matter. Don't give a shit. This is a woman being her damn self and not apologizing for it. And I know trans women out there, y'all watching this, y'all feel me. Y'all vibe with that. I know you do. I know you do. And yeah, I know you vibe with me on that because that's what we're doing, right? Like that is at the core what we are also doing and what we are fighting to be able to do on a daily basis. Even when bitches like Joanne out here trying to tell us not to, trying to tell us that we're threatening her by doing so. All we can ever hope to be is ourselves unapologetically. That's it. That's that tea. And with that, because it is 1:35 at night, I'm gonna go to bed. I hope y'all have a great rest of your evening and have a perfect night. That is the worst version of that I could have ever possibly done. I regret it. It's fine, whatever. Oh, actually, one more fucking thing. Hold the fuck on. Um, can we talk about how this movie has at its core an anti-capitalist message? Think about that for a second. This woman fought a corporation that was actively trying to, like, basically prevent people's skin from falling off, basically stopping a company from doing something that they actively knew as a company would hurt the people that they were selling to, would hurt their customer base. Girl, I fucking wish a single goddamn superhero right now in the MCU, in the DC universe, in any of that was fighting for that same goddamn thing. But naturally, they wouldn't. And all you got to do for that is track the money. Where's the money coming from? Corporations that are actively trying to harm people. Listen, Bioline being a company that we know to be toxic, or rather, Hedare Industries being a company that we know to be toxic, and Bioline being a product that also would be toxic, and they're giving that just directly to people. They don't give a shit about what the research and development team actually said would happen if they kept using it. They don't give a shit. Fuck it. They're going to sell it to people. Why? Because money, bitch. Because money and power. That's why they're going to do that. And that's the whole, that at its core is a thing we should have probably gathered at that very time in 2004 when Amazon was just still, well, it was still actually pretty big, but it was still also high key at the time, a little bit of a fledgling. Maybe we should have carried that message from then to now. It has at its core an anti-capitalist message, and yet still there are bitches on the internet who are complaining about this movie. Bitch, you know what? And with that, I am actually done now because I am genuinely tired, and I cannot start yelling about capitalism. I can't. I fucking can't. Um oh, fuck. I want to plug a couple other things. Thing number 1. There is a fan-made Poison Ivy movie on here. That's a Poison Ivy origin film that is on here on the YouTube somewhere. Go find it. It is fucking incredible. I love it so much. And that's all I wanted to plug for that. It just made me really happy to see. When the Black Canary movie gets made, hopefully. Also, you know what? Fucking watch and see if this movie happens. Watch and see if this movie actually happens. Because basically that movie and the Halle Berry movie, those are going to be the only 2 fucking superhero movies headed by a black woman at all. Just keep that in your brain, and here's hoping in the future we can all have something that might be a little bit better than that, and hopefully it's this movie, because I cannot fucking wait for this movie. Oh my god, it's gonna fucking roll. Anyway, be well, do as much good work as you possibly can, while also remembering to take care of yourself, and above all else, stay safe out there, y'all.